The ultimate objective of property management comes down to two specific tasks: maximizing the owner's return on investment and actively preventing the physical decline of the asset. To build a comprehensive management plan today, you'll need three things ready to go: your property's current financial records, local competitor data, and a calculator. By the end of this process, you will have generated three concrete deliverables: market-adjusted rental rates, an accurate cash flow projection, and an actionable preventative maintenance strategy. Operating a building without a structured, data-backed plan creates blind spots. It guarantees that you leave money on the table in uncollected rent, and it accelerates the physical death of the property by deferring critical upkeep. Step 1 is diagnosing where the property sits in its life cycle. A building moves through 6 stages, starting as raw land and ending in complete obsolescence. Property managers primarily operate right here in the middle, the occupancy and operations phase, working to prevent that final decline. That decline is called depreciation, and it begins immediately the moment construction is finished. The environment and daily use start wearing the asset down. We divide this decline into specific categories. Physical obsolescence represents general wear and tear, like a leaking roof. Functional obsolescence refers to outdated building design, like single-pane windows that waste large amounts of energy. A third category is economic obsolescence. This represents a loss of value driven by external forces outside the building itself, such as a major local employer shutting down and dragging demand down with it. Accurately diagnosing these three distinct types of decline dictates exactly where you must direct your maintenance efforts and allocate your capital expenditure budget. Now that we understand the property's condition, step 2 is setting the rent. The most reliable method to establish the highest justifiable rental rate for a unit is the competitive property analysis. This chart shows a direct comparison matrix. We start by looking at standard market rates for a specific unit size. In this baseline scenario, competitor A is renting out a studio apartment for $950 a month. But we have to look closely at amenity valuation. Competitor A features an on-site health club for its residents, which is valued at $50 a month. If your subject property lacks that specific amenity, you must subtract that $50 value to remain competitive. Your final adjusted rent for a comparable studio becomes $900. Setting rent is not guesswork. It is a direct mathematical calculation based entirely on the specific competitive advantages or deficiencies of your property. Next, we move to the financial model. Net operating income, or NOI, is the most critical measure of a property's financial health and its ability to pay its bills. This table shows exactly how to calculate it. The starting point is gross potential rental income. This represents the absolute maximum income the building could generate if it were 100% occupied. Here, that totals $208,800. Because spaces go vacant and tenants sometimes fail to pay, we have to immediately deduct a vacancy loss. Subtracting that $6,000 gives us the net effective rent. The final step to find NOI is subtracting all operating expenses, things like utilities, trash removal, and regular maintenance. Be careful not to confuse routine operating expenses with major capital expenditures, like a new roof. Subtract the operating expenses, and we land at a net operating income of $77,800. To find the ultimate annual cash flow, there is one final deduction. You take the NOI and subtract the debt service, which covers the property's mortgage payments. The money remaining is your final cash flow. Producing a positive, steadily growing NOI is the ultimate proof of a manager's competence. It serves as the primary metric used by investors and appraisers to determine the building's overall investment value. Step 4 is controlling the operating expenses we just calculated. When contracting out services, you secure multiple bids using a standardized request for proposal, or RFP. This ensures every contractor bids on the exact same scope of work. To justify the upfront cost of utility and energy efficiency upgrades, we use a critical formula. You take the cost of implementation divided by the annual savings. This equals the payback period, measured in years. Let's apply this to a real-world scenario. If an LED lighting upgrade costs $1,500 to install and it saves $500 annually in electricity, the math equates to a quick 3-year payback period. Maintaining equipment falls into 2 categories. You want to avoid expensive curative maintenance, which means waiting to fix equipment only after it breaks. Instead, prioritize strategic preventive maintenance, focusing on routine inspections and scheduled part replacements. Aggressive preventive maintenance directly protects the net operating income we mapped out earlier. By extending the life of your equipment, you avoid catastrophic, unplanned capital expenditures that wipe out your cash flow. You have now done the math and organized the data. You have successfully built a comprehensive, professional-grade property management plan. You generated 4 core components: a clear obsolescence audit, market-adjusted rental rates, a finalized NOI cash flow projection, and a rigorous utility and maintenance strategy. Your immediate next step is to take this data-backed framework and present it to the property owner for their review and approval. Executing this specific plan shifts your role entirely. It moves you from acting as a reactive rent collector to a proactive asset manager who drives long-term return on investment.